Yeah, good morning. So I wanted to give some space here and give an extra little instructional video just to kind of discuss the permaculture principles. So for this week, week one, we are focusing on permaculture principle number one, which is to observe and interact with the space that we're in. And the one thing I love about permaculture is that all these principles can truly be reflected to our own self-care. So while these were created as earth care and as land ethics to kind of nourish the space and live in and create the space that's around us, it can also very much be reflected back to the internal space. So that's what I love about these permaculture ethics. And so observe and interact. One thing, I was a garden coordinator and manager for about 5 years in different spaces. And one thing I always like to teach people is that before we even get to work in a garden, we come, we gather, maybe converse a little bit, but the first step is to really walk the space. So it's pretty much a walking meditation. You're observing each bed, you're observing the plants, you're kind of seeing any different changes. You're noticing if there's any bugs or any kind of discoloration or changes in the leaves or any kind of changes to the fruits that are being produced as well. So any kind of rot or again, pests that are happening. So this is a really important practice that I like to add in to and really teach in any gardening space. And I think that as we can kind of walk, again, we're getting that walking meditation, we're getting some movement in, but we're getting present moment awareness. We're able to drop into the space and notice what's going on around us. So that's what I really love about this first permaculture ethic. And again, this can be also, layered into our practice in other ways, like the observation of our breath. For this week, there is also a body scan script and meditation recorded for you all. So that's, the body scans and the breath awareness. That's another way that we can observe and then interact with our own physical space in our body. So the other permaculture ethic that I kind of tied to this week one, is to use slow and small solutions. So, again, as we think about the garden space, there is so much going on a daily basis. You can go out there every day and observe your garden, and that's honestly one of the main things that I like to encourage is getting that time at least every day or every other day so that we can notice the shifts that are happening. Because anyone that's worked in a garden, that things can happen really quick in a garden. So as far as, bugs coming on or any kind of other disease or pest, we want to notice them right off. And it's the same for our internal space. We want to be aware. We want to notice these shifts. So for this, use small and slow solutions. The reason that we're doing this, and again, as we think from a behavior change perspective, as we start to change the little things and we create these smaller habits, that's what's going to create this sustainable change for our lives and support us moving forward. So another thing I like to tie in here, another nugget, is the 1% rule. So if you're not familiar with that, I first heard it in Atomic Habits, which is a really great book. I can link that into our resources for this week too. But in that book, he talks about the 1% rule. So, a lot of times when we approach any kind of shifts or changes in our life, sometimes we get it can be overwhelming and we want to change so many different things at once. But this 1% rule really asks us to be conscious and mindful of how we are approaching these changes. So when we can focus on the 1% every day, if you can get better 1% every day, then by the end of the year, think about all of those things that you have worked on and you have built, and it's a sustainable smaller change that can be really shifted and focused on, and it can be intentional. So those are our 2 ethics for the day. I'll try to keep it short and sweet there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining week 1.